Hi guys, welcome back to another poetry exercise for this week. Thank you for everybody who had a go last week at doing the colour poem. Some of the poems that you created, the imagery that you brought, the creativity you showed was absolutely fantastic. We had some great contributions from the people in the poetry group, but not only that, we had some trainees try them on the Facebook group as well, which was really nice to see. So just to recap, that was what we looked at last week, which was a colour poem. And this week I'd like to extend that and use some of the same processes, the techniques, the exercise that we did last week, and to develop an idea of writing a poem about ourselves. So rather than choose a colour this week, I would like us to try and think about ourselves, and starting the poem I Am. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to think about taste, feeling, sound, sight, smell, whatever it might be. But what those feelings, what those sights, what those sounds, what those tastes mean to you, and how they define you. We're going to use exactly the same process as we did last week as well. So the first thing we're going to do is write our notes. Get a piece of paper, just write sound, taste, feeling, sight, touch on a blank piece of paper, and then each one try and write what you think when you read those words about you. After that, I'd like you to use those notes to start to construct your poem, and maybe choose 8-9 lines or so and try and do that. And once you've done that, the third and final process is to take that poem and to make it again into a mini story poem. Okay, so I'm going to show you those processes separately now and see how we get on. Okay. This is how I started it. So I looked at the sounds, the sights, the tastes, the smell, the feelings, the colours, those things that I thought would be interesting in the poem, and things that I could easily think about when I'm thought about my own self and the things I like and the things I enjoy, and how I consider myself. So I've written down sound, as you can see here, sight, taste, feelings, and smell. And I've gone back to each one. So we'll start with sound, and I've thought about myself in terms of sounds, what sounds I think about when I think about myself, things that I listen to. So I put birds in the woods because I like to listen to the birds when I'm out walking, playing guitar in my shed, which is where I spend most of my time in the evenings. Music I like, the blues music that I like, laughter with my friends, having a good giggle, yawning at night I've put in there just for a bit of fun. And then I go on to the next one, and I think about sights, things I see, sights that I think about that represent me and the things I like, and things like singing, walking, the sea when I get down there, when I go fishing, the first thing I see, reading, when I'm walking in the spring at the beginning of lockdown when we were walking a lot, the woods nearby were all green with leaves, and that was something I think about. So then taste, and I've done the same thing, think about things I like the taste of, sweets, treats, meals I like, Toblerone, spaghetti bolognese. Then smells that I like, so new clothes, old cars I quite like the smell of, leaves again, the woods, water in the river, and feelings lastly. So feelings that I associate with myself that I like. So the feelings of my friendships with people, my family, the love I feel around me, wind on my face when I'm walking again, and the feeling of being peaceful if I'm walking or if I'm reading or if it's the stars or the woods. So that's how I've sort of got some ideas and images of things I might include in my poem. So the next thing I've done is I've taken my sort of notes that I've written about the sounds and the sights and the smells and the feelings and the tastes, and I've started to put them into a poem. So the first line I've written is, I am the sight of the sea with no waves. And you remember when I looked earlier at sight, I'd written the sea when I get down there when I go fishing. And sometimes when I go fishing there's no waves whatsoever, and it's really nice, it's like a pond, and it's really good, you can stand in the sea. So that's something that reminds me of a sight that I quite like. The next one I've done is the sound of the blues in the shed. Now the blues is a type of guitar music I like to play, and you'll see when I went to do sounds I'd written the blues here. And at night, so I don't wake my children up, I go and play my blues guitar in the shed, so that's why I put that on there. I won't go through all of them, but the next one I'll do, just to give you another idea, is the colour. So I've said I am the colour of the leaves, all green because it's spring. And if you remember when I did sight, one of the things I'd put was green leaves in the springtime. Okay, so if you try and do that and go through and maybe write 8 or 9 or 10 lines like I've done, as you can see, and that will be your poem. So just to recap, I started off with this ideas board, which gave me an ideas for the images I was going to use. Then I wrote down those images, those notes that I'd written, into lines, and I completed my poem all the way to the bottom. And the next thing I did was I wanted to put it into a mini story. So I had 10 lines, so I took a piece of paper and I divided my piece of paper up into 10 boxes, 5 at the top, 5 down the bottom. And in each one, like I did for the colour poem last week, I put the line from each line of my poem into each separate box, down the bottom and all along. And once I've done that, that's half of my sort of mini poetry story done, and now I'm going to illustrate it and draw the pictures that those lines inspire me to draw. So here you are, this is my final mini poetry story that I finished, and I've written all the words out as I've done in the last example, and then I've filled them all in with illustrations and images that I felt inspired to draw from the lines that I've written. I'm going to read it to you now, and you'll see maybe why I chose the certain images that I did. Okay, so this is my final poem, all about me. I am the sight of the sea with no waves. I am the sound of blues guitar in a shed. I am the colour of the leaves, all green in springtime. I am the feeling of the wind on my face as I walk in the wilds. I am the taste of dip dabs and Toblerone triangles. I am the smell of the forest with red, yellow leaves on the ground. I am the quiet peace all lost in a book. I am the sound of laughter shared with my friends. I am the love and joy of my family around me. I am the feeling of exploring new paths and happily losing my way. So that's my final poem. So that's how I'd like us to try and create these poems about ourselves. Use the word or the words I am to start each line, and then use taste, feeling, whatever inspiration or creativity you can come up with. It doesn't have to be just locked into those senses. You could describe yourself in any way, but it's to think about your hobbies, your interests, your loves, your passions, your friendships, the places you've been, the things you think about yourself, and try and write something quite personal and fun and exciting, and just be creative and have a good bit of fun with it and have a laugh with it, and then to make it into a mini story poem that represents you. As you see, I showed you earlier my one. Pretty pleased with it, and I think something that I would probably try again, because it's quite a nice exercise to do. So have fun. I look forward to seeing how you get on, and please do put all your poems into the comments on the Facebook group, and I look forward to seeing the poetry group and seeing on next Thursday and seeing how you get on as well. So until then, guys, have a good week. Bye bye.